Hello, good morning, good morrow. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's pre-market prep session, the deluxe session, of course, since this is Monday, where we go over all of the news, notes, important information, and expectations for the week ahead, as well as our Monday specific news. I'm Adam Holland, your host for the pre-market prep session, here finally with the blackout curtains that I so desperately needed to get rid of all that intrusive light. We've had the lights in the background, which you can finally see, and then we'll get, even more going here as I'm expecting the piece de resistance to come either today or tomorrow. So hopefully, I think I got an email saying that it might have been moved back to tomorrow. Hopefully I misread because I'm really trying to get everything in here now. But I'm excited to see what it looks like and to be creative with that. But I hope everybody had a nice weekend, a nice restful restorative weekend. Yes, good morning, Vivian. Good morning, Andre. Good morning, Alicia. Good morning, Carla. Hope you all had great weekends. I had a great one myself. We got a lot of stuff done around here, right? And it can be tough. You guys know how it is. Like adulthood is literally just busyness is one thing after the next. Especially all the summer holidays, right? It's literally holiday after holiday, thing after thing. And then I've got Bailey, who is flying out for work to Atlanta today. So I'll be, out for power hour today because of that. But you know how it is, guys. It's just busyness. So it's definitely been a gradual move in. Got to wait for stuff to come in, but things are coming together, which is very, very nice. And that's really all you can hope for out of life, right? Things slowly but surely coming together. So I hope it was a great weekend for you guys as well. I got my run in. I'm feeling good, feeling nice, feeling refreshed. I did not do my yoga. Got to do my yoga. So I'm going to get that in. But yeah, the morning routine, absolutely pivotal. Throw a 1 in the chat if you have a morning routine. Throw a 2 in the chat if you're still kind of working on it. Let's see here. But I think a morning routine, I know a morning routine is so, so important to success in markets and just overall success in life, but especially success in markets here. Because you got to come with your best foot forward as soon as that bell opens so that you can take advantage of the opportunities available. Right. When we talk about, especially on days like Fridays have been big movers. Last Friday, I was out. I had a wedding that I had to go to, which was an amazing experience. But unfortunate from a market standpoint, just because it was so much fun to miss out on. I mean, whenever we can get such big moves to the upside and to the downside, you cannot ask for more than that. So it wasn't super fun coming back and being oh, nice, got to miss out on an amazing, very profitable roller coaster of a day. But every single day brings opportunity. You're never going to take advantage of all the opportunities. So it's important to recognize that control what you can control. If you can't be there, you can't trade. It's fine, right? There's plenty of opportunity left. But Friday, great time, great day. Wish I was there for it. Was able to take advantage of some nice coin in the morning, literally and figuratively. Coinbase paid over 100% on 0-day calls. So that was great. But if you didn't come ready to execute with your foot on the gas, right, for Friday, and you got caught on your heels, right? You might have been groggy, wiping the crust out of your eyes. You miss out on those opportunities. So you want to come with your, heart rate up, your metabolism up, and just ready to execute when you step into that market arena. Throw a 3 in the chat if you're ready here to step into the market arena this morning. I want to see it. Let's see. In terms of top news, we're going to, of course, dive into what we've got going on in the week ahead. The latest update on inflation in the U.S. will drop on the lap of investors with June CPI report scheduled to be released on Wednesday. Economists forecast headline inflation to fall to 3% from 4% in May and core inflation to be reported at 5% from 5.3% in May. A CPI surprise could reset expectations on the direction of the Federal Reserve. At publication time, traders were pricing in a 90% probability that the Federal Reserve will raise rates by 25 basis points at the meeting later, July 25th through 26th. The earnings season kicks off with major banks, JP Morgan Chase, ticker JPM, Wells Fargo, ticker WFC, and Citigroup, ticker C, some of the heavyweights stepping into the earnings confessional. This is important, right? We're right back into the earnings confessional. So this is going to kick off earnings season. We've got another earnings season coming around. We're going to get updates from, our favorite companies and some of our not so favorite companies and see how things end up shaking out. But the banks always lead the charge and they somewhat set the precedent. So we'll definitely be kind of locked in and tuned in on what the banks what information they have for us here. The readout on what major banks say about deposit flows and loan growth is also anticipated to have an impact on regional bank stocks. Some analysts have warned that large banks' earnings have peaked as net interest income is likely to continue to decline. Credit costs are gradually normalizing and increasing, and expenses are pressured by inflation. EPS growth is also being hurt as banks position for likely regulatory changes by adding liquidity, increasing debt capital, and several holding back on share repurchases. Outside the banking sector, companies due to spill numbers include Delta Airlines, United Health Group, and PepsiCo. So looking at the earnings season as a whole, there have been 62 negative EPS pre-announcements issued by S&P 500 corporations compared to 39 positive. So what that means is that 62, negative revisions have come out where companies are like, hey, don't expect much from us on this, season's report card. A lot of that can play to their advantage. Again, if you set the bar low, it's easy to trip and fall over it. So that could be part of it. And part of it could just be that, the earnings outlook just isn't looking as good for them. So yeah, again, this is like a thing where we'll see what happens as time comes. In terms of like earnings plays, when we come up on earnings season, there's big money to be made. There's big money to be lost. Don't ever play. This goes for trading in general, but don't ever play with money you can't afford to lose, right? Don't go ahead and say, hey, NVIDIA flew last earnings. I'm going to go ahead and put my rent payment on NVIDIA, right? Or I'm going to go ahead and throw my car note on NVIDIA. And instead of this Benz that I can't afford, I'm going to get a Maserati that I can't afford, right? So this isn't how you want to look at that. And earnings season is also something that you want to keep an eye out for, just for like landmines and proximity mines, right? If you're in a trade in Pepsi and then Coca-Cola has earnings, right? You can get some some sympathy movement from that. So just be aware of all that, right? Be aware of what we got going on. And part of that is, again, just being here for the pre-market prep sessions. You don't really have to do a whole lot when you can get a lot of your information in one go. So I'm happy to be able to provide that type of infrastructure here where we can all just get the info we need and move forward and execute. In terms of earnings today, we've got a bunch of just random names. Helen of Troy, WD-40 today for earnings, and then a bunch of no names. And Thursday, we've got Pepsi, Delta Airlines, and Conagra Brands. I guess it said that these are previews. So I don't really know what that means. Are you telling us your earnings or are you not? I'm not sure. But Thursday and Friday is really where we pick up, right? We've got Pepsi, Delta Airlines. We've also got United Health Group, which is UNH, JP Morgan Chase, which is JPM, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, and Citigroup, whose ticker is C. So got the banks kicking us off here. Let's see. In terms of IPO and spinoff watch, no new offerings are expected to be priced next week as the IPO market cools off from what was a burst of activity in June when 5 IPOs raised $1.3 billion in aggregate proceeds to mark the most active month for IPOs since May 2022 when $1.1 billion in proceeds was raised. Kava Group, which had the splashiest debut of the bunch, will have its quiet period expire on July 10th to open up analysts to post ratings. Throw a 4 in the chat if you saw the reel that I posted about Kava. If you didn't, make sure you go back and watch that reel. Very important piece of information there. And make sure you always have your eye out for those reels. We got more coming out this week that'll be even more educational, more informative. So we've had a lot going on. I've had a lot going on, but getting back on the bike here with the social media education, because I just want to make sure, again, if you're part of this community, you're getting educated every which way that you look, so you have no choice but to be great, right? That's really what I'm trying to establish here. But actually with Kava, so I actually know the family who is part owner of the Kava Group, and they stand to absolutely cash out from this IPO. So that's a beautiful thing for pre-IPO, right? If you're part of the original group that was invested in the company before it went public, the fact of the company just going public is an absolute just bag dropped in the lap for you. So unfortunately, though, it doesn't often mean that for investors and for traders. So if you want, kind of more information on that, make sure you go back, watch that reel. But it is interesting to kind of hear from behind the curtain, okay, what the experience is like going through from pre-IPO to IPO. In terms of corporate events, do we have any important corporate events here? Not seeing any major names. Yeah. Not really anything major after that. So let's go into our Monday specific news. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so excited that we finally just have a nice full week of uninterrupted work. Does that make me a psycho? Throw a 7 in the chat if you're excited for the same thing. I love holidays. Like I love seeing family and all that, but like routine, right? Can we get routine? The lights and curtains, I love it. So these are the same lights from my old place. Thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate it. These are the same lights from my old place, but we've got new stuff coming in because I've got this big blank canvas right here that like needs something. So I'm a big gadget guy. We're gonna have something for that, and it'll be cool. It'll be cool, and we can like customize it from day to day and stuff like that. So I'm excited to kind of trick this out. Bailey caught me looking at hot tubs for my office, so she wasn't really in favor of that. But I don't know. I feel like I deserve a hot tub in the office. I think I'm going to throw a flat screen up here, hot tub right here, futon back there. Maybe make it a little club. I don't know. That's why I'm not in interior design, guys, because I just do what I want. I don't really care much about what it looks like. But yeah, throw a 4 in the chat if you agree with Bailey for no hot tub. Throw a 3 in the chat if you think I deserve a hot tub in my office. I'm kind of on board with it. We'll see what happens. Moving forward to Monday specific news, and it's fine if you guys agree with her. I get it. That is probably the adult thing. Everybody said 444. Nobody thinks I deserve to work from the hot tub. I think that would be cool until you accidentally drop the laptop in there. Let me see. All right, so top news on Monday, getting back into it. NATO support. President Biden will depart for Lithuania on Monday night for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that's NATO's annual summit. The stop in Vilnius is part of a broader solidarity mission this week that seeks to shore up support for Ukraine as its counteroffensive against Russia gets underway. Tensions continue to escalate in the war, with NATO member Poland moving over 1,000 troops to the east of the country on Saturday amid concerns about the presence of Wagner Group fighters in neighboring Belarus. So I'm going to reread that to make sure we all understand that. Tensions continue to escalate in the war, with NATO member Poland moving over 1,000 troops to the east of the country on Saturday amid concerns about the presence of Wagner Group fighters in neighboring Belarus. So at this point, right, we have fighters that are mobilizing outside of just Ukraine and Russia, which I think is very important. We've had this progressive militarization of countries that have been historically neutral, like Switzerland, and a number of other countries that, again, have in the past played no part in any armed conflicts, and now they're strapping up, they're arming up, right? They're ordering missiles and ordering defense systems, and right now we have Poland that is mobilizing troops, right? They are not taking any chances. We know that the Wagner Group is the only portion of the Russian army that has made any type of offensive progress over the course of the past few months. All of the rest of the army has been stifled. So who knows, right? You just don't know what the heck Putin worked out with the leader of the Wagner Group to get him to not come back. And they're wiping like literally all evidence of that from the news cycle, which is just crazy. Like Russia's doing that, just pretending like it never happened. But you don't want to take chances. So I don't, blame Poland, but that's crazy. I mean, if Russia, extends this out and they attack Poland, that is a member of NATO. So that takes us to all-out war based on the treaties that we have with Russia. So this is a very kind of disturbing development. And that's why I wanted to read that twice. Again, it's different. The headline is not that they have moved into Poland, but just the fact that there's like Wagner Group fighters close to Poland. They're taking the precaution. We'll see what ends up happening. Quote, I don't think there is unanimity in NATO about whether or not to bring Ukraine into the NATO family now at this moment in the middle of a war, President Biden said in an interview with CNN. NATO is a process that takes some time to meet all the qualifications, from democratization to a whole range of other issues. In the meantime, one of the things I indicated the U.S. would be ready to provide while the process is going on is security, weaponry, and the capacity for them to defend themselves. So again, proxy war, right? We are at war with Russia. It's just a proxy war. We're not directly fighting them, at least from what we know. Although apparently that leak from that intern, right, that Navy intern did say that we had troops on the ground in Ukraine, right, in this Ukraine conflict. So knowing the U.S., we probably do have troops on the ground, right? That's just how we move. Like, hey, we're not involved. And they send in a small black ops force, right? Hats off to Ukraine, but I don't think they're doing all this alone, right? It's kind of a lot for them to be doing. Olivia said 3, live your life, LOL. There we go. And I got Dylan on my side. I got my boy Dylan on my side there. So who knows? We might see Hot Tub coming in, but more than likely not. You guys know how that goes. in terms of like what we've got going on here with this NATO situation, I feel like of course Biden isn't in a rush to really make them a full part of NATO because that makes all of us contractually obligated to join this war, which I don't think anyone wants to do outright. It's just tough. Like imagine it's like you're in a fight with someone, like a fist fight, but that person has a gun. That's what it's like going to war, knowing the nuclear warheads exist. It's like how much do you want to push this person to the point where they just say screw it and pull out the gun? And that's what's tough. And again, why I would never want to be the president. Like I could not, I don't care about the clout. I don't care about, going down in history in that regard. Like I would not want to do it because that's a balancing act where you just don't know. You don't know, especially if Putin is terminally ill, like a lot of people speculate he is. So let's see here. Continuing on, Biden also commented on his decision to approve cluster munitions for Ukraine, in part due to the fact the U.S. was low on the 155 millimeter howitzer shells after providing more than 1.5 million of the artillery rounds to Kiev. Many nations have funneled weapons to Ukraine, or that have funneled weapons to Ukraine, are also finding that their stocks are running low, such as Stinger and Javelin anti-aircraft and anti-tank missiles produced by Raytheon and Lockheed Martin. Those tickers are RTX and LMT. It could take years for defense contractors to meet the shortfall, especially with less than a quarter of NATO countries meeting their obligations to spend at least 2% of their GDP on defense spending by 2025. I mean, that's a big thing, everybody complains about using money on weapons until you need weapons. And then, everyone wants weapons. So Raytheon, something to keep an eye on here. Looking at Raytheon, looks like they've got potential large, possibly even weekly. I know definitely daily, but looking like a small weekly bull flag. It's part of a potential larger weekly bull flag. So something to keep an eye on, right? Long term is Raytheon. I mean, they've kind of struggled in this. What is this area? Kind of 106 area, 106, 107 on the monthly. They just have heavy resistance there. But if we could get, a weekly close above 100.68 on RTX, right, Raytheon, that would qualify as a weekly bull flag breakout that could carry over into cascading bullish patterns to fire potential monthly bull flag breakout. So something to keep an eye on, right? As war pervades and we've got these conflicts that are going on, you want to see the price action manifest, right? You don't just want to say, oh, we've got Poland positioning troops, time for me to dump my life savings into RTX calls. Nope, that is literally the exact opposite of what I want you to do, right? Don't hear what I'm not saying is what a lot of people like to say. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but just make sure that you keep your eyes open and remain aware. And I think I'm going to go ahead and obviously you guys know me. We're sitting here. I'm going to throw a little alert up here for if we break that downtrend. Testing. Really? Downtrend break. Okay. Boom. Now you can have eyes on Raytheon as we continue down here. And let's see, I'll probably set another one, of course, at that daily bull flag breakout level at 100.68. Just so that, I'm aware of everything that's going on. It's like 5 minute doesn't reach one on like the hourly too. That should reach up there. Crosses above. RTX testing. Daily bull flag breakout. That's nice, right? At 100.68. So we're literally going through, and that's what you really do. When people talk about like, oh, what's your strategy, going through and listening to the news and, kind of what you're looking for, what you're paying attention to. It's literally hearing news, check out the chart, break down the chart. Is there opportunity? If yes, set alerts for when that opportunity, manifests. If no, then keep moving on, right? But that's really what it is. It's, you can, there's not really a magic sauce. I mean, people can go through and use different tools, but at the end of the day, if you just are aware of what's going on and you set alerts for when things do happen, then you're ready, right? You're ready for whenever that manifests. For Lockheed Martin, 463.33 is a level to watch. So again, 463.33. Their ticker is LMT. So that's testing. I think that's hourly bull flag breakout, but that would kind of be the start of the domino effect for LMT there on the daily. be a nice, little daily bull flag breakout if that ends up happening. It could be within, a larger bear flag here for LMT. It's also got potential for kind of larger weekly double top on LMT. If we lose, what is it, 437.62? So again, there's always bullish and bearish outcomes for legitimately every stock. You just want to be aware of, okay, what levels make this one bullish, what levels make this one bearish, and push from there, right? Make your decisions from there. So in terms of outlook, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been invited to the summit in Vilnius, scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday. Pledges of military and financial support are expected to be announced at or soon after the gathering, while a coalition of allies might detail training for Ukrainian pilots in Lockheed-built F-16 aircraft. Another wild card at the meeting is the full approval of Sweden into the alliance, which may hinge on the supply of upgraded U.S. fighter jets to Turkey in commitments by Stockholm to contain supporters of what Ankara deems terrorist entities. Reversing a historic policy of non-alignment, Finland was the latest member accepted into NATO this past April, bringing the military alliance to 31 members, which is the exact opposite of what Russia wanted when they started this war. They started it because they didn't want Ukraine joining NATO. As a result of this war beginning, we have a number of countries who were not a part of NATO, now a part of NATO, which is a military alliance, right? This is gang affiliation, for lack of better terms. Are you with the U.S. gang? You with the Russia-China gang, right? You're picking sides, and we have people who have been neutral now picking sides. In terms of energy news, black gold, American crude oil production is on track to set a record this year, keeping energy prices stable and blunting the efforts of Saudi Arabia and other oil exporters to drive them higher. While OPEC and its allies cut production this year, increased output in countries outside of the group is making up for the difference. Half of the new crude is coming from the U.S., where companies including ConocoPhillips, whose ticker is COP, and Devon Energy, DVN, delivered strong Q1 production amid efforts to improve efficiency. Investing group leader HFIR believes oil is asymmetrically positioned to the upside as, quote, U.S. oil demand is starting to fire on all cylinders and U.S. shale production is peaking. So that might be something to keep an eye on here as we head into earnings season for these companies. I don't know when, I don't know when they report. When does Devon Energy report? It was on the week. It looks like they report August 1st. So in roughly a month. So it could be something to look at, right? Based off of like what happened on their last earnings. Did they even move big? No, doesn't really look like it. So yeah, one of those things too, where you gotta just be aware of what's happening, what's going on. Hey, this company did well last earnings. What did the stock do? Does that mean the stock went up? Because it doesn't necessarily, have to mean that. So same things I always say, right? Eyes open, ears to the streets. That's how you got to move. Tech end in sight. Investors are expressing optimism that China's crackdown on the tech sector is nearing its end after the PBOC, People's Bank of China, imposed fines on Ant Group and Tencent. Ant Group, in which Alibaba owns a 33% stake, was slapped with a $985 million fine. Oh my, that is insane to think about. Almost $1 billion fine. I mean, and for a huge company, it's like whatever. I mean, it's still important, still significant, but imagine a ticket. Like you get a ticket, and that's why I, don't really like going to DC anymore because I do speed. That's an unfortunate vice of mine. But heading around DC, you get $300 tickets. It makes you not want to. While Tencent was handed a roughly $10 million penalty, this frees up Ant Group to potentially explore a public listing again, close to 3 years after China blocked what would have been the world's largest IPO. Quote, we believe the fines indicate that the rectification of large fintech platforms have come to an end, said JPM's Alex Yao. So this is something I talked about on Friday, right? Basically, this decision was good because things could have been a lot worse for Alibaba. So the fact that it was just a fine and things weren't worse was very positive news for Alibaba. And what do we get as a result of that from Baba? We got Alibaba running on Friday. So that was something I talked about pre-market, something that I really like, and Baba materialized. So if you went ahead and, day traded Baba on Friday, paid handsomely because those calls that opened just kept going and going and going and going. So Baba, another thing that was looking good on Friday to day trade, ended up panning out and looking good. Let's see here, M&A delay. So new U.S. guidelines proposed for regulators to review mergers and acquisitions have the potential to add months to deal review. This, Federal Trade Commission and under, got to know where those cameras are, LOL. Yeah. I like now on maps how they like tell you where the cameras are. They're like camera, speed camera ahead. And I listen to them now because, you're jamming the music, you're not paying attention. And you see that flash, and then you sit like this for the rest of the ride. because you just know in a week, whatever it is, you're going to get that ticket and it's just going to be annoying. Um, Now let's see, M&A delay, right? This whole thing is it's making it harder for companies to do business, right? And it's just part of administration, right? You have kind of Democrats that are tougher um, on big tech this time around, and Biden and the administration just not letting a lot of these deals happen. And now at this point, these new guidelines that are proposed for regulators will add months onto deal review. So it's just taking even longer for deals that do happen, which aren't many, to come to fruition. So the industry has already seen a decline due to volatility in markets with interest rate increases and a Biden administration that's been aggressive in its antitrust efforts, suing in an attempt to block several high-profile transactions, including Microsoft's planned $69 billion purchase of Activision and Amgen's $28 billion purchase of Horizon Therapeutics. Quote, anytime the transaction cost of doing a deal increase, the cost increase has a chilling effect, said Kuritz, which is pretty much just that whenever interest rates are low, in order to make these deals happen, you need to borrow from banks. It's more expensive to borrow from banks with high interest rates. So not a lot of deals get done, during times like what we're in. So that's kind of like the quick lowdown, and that can be something that causes banks to struggle. In terms of today's markets, mixed bag, mostly green in Asia, in Europe, but mostly red here. So in Asia, Japan down 0.6%, Hong Kong up 0.6, China up 0.2, India up 0.1, the FTSE in London up 0.2, Paris up 0.5, Frankfurt up 0.5, the Dow flat, S&P down 0.2. Is it still the same? Let's check out what is SPY doing right now. Is it really down 0.2? Kind of looks more flat, if anything. Yeah, looking more flat. Would I be surprised if we continue down? No. Considering the whole possibility of that daily double top, right? I think that volatility that we saw Friday, kind of just proved that despite, buyers trying to fight back, just is not enough at this point, at this juncture in time. So if you are, kind of making trades, a lot of them, you want to kind of scalp, make your money, get in, get out, and keep it tight to the vest, because that Friday movement was crazy. Again, would have been beautiful to be involved. We had a really nice bear flag at the top of everything on the 5-minute. It just would have been perfect to dive into some 0-day puts, which probably went up 600, 700% going into end of day. But it's all right, guys. New day, new set of opportunities. It's just to see a sell off like that on Friday at end of day. Beautiful. Let's see here. Where was I? I got lost. In terms of today's economic calendar, we've got BAR. Remember the Fed speaking at 10 a.m. Wholesale inventories at 10 a.m. Nothing really important. We got to remember the Fed daily speaking at 11. Fed or BAR don't really tend to be market movers. Wholesale inventories can be one of those like 1-minute movers where you get those crazy 1-minute candles. What else is happening? Meta Threads crosses 70 million users. Early success to continue. I've been taking like a poll in here. Throw a 2 in the chat if you are on Threads now. It was like almost none of you last week. Want to see how many are on this week. I'm on. I haven't made a thread yet. Maybe I'll make my first one today. But they have been growing exponentially. Again, a lot of that really has to do with the fact that they just you can just import everything over from Instagram. So it's very easy to make a Threads account. And when you see everybody talk about it, people want to, hop in on it. But yeah, it looks like we have a few people here who have moved over to Threads. Don't know if this will actually maintain, right? If the sentiment will be maintained. And so far for Meta, it hasn't really amounted to any positive price action. So, I mean, we got, kind of chop on Friday. We hit that, pre-market low, put in a hammer off that pre-market low on 5-minute and rocketed up from there. So a beautiful spot to slide in a Meta calls on Friday. And I think that was, I don't know if Meta was mentioned, but yeah, Meta having that nice hammer there, coming off that pre-market low. But overall, it's really just been a lot of chop. So again, positive news doesn't necessarily equate to price action. You got to wait to see that start to manifest. You want to see, again, Meta, bust that hourly downtrend and really start to show us that it has what it takes. But yeah, great news for Zuck. I'm sure he's throwing a lizard person party at Facebook HQ. Goldman's top 4 themes for earnings season. Yes, one is AI. Netflix's less compelling content could hinder growth. Goldman Sachs sees rays of hope in underperforming health sector. TPG, ticker TPG, to buy Force Point's government cybersecurity unit for $2.45 billion. SVB files lawsuit to recover $1.93 billion seized by FDIC. Rivian, ticker RIVN, could break free of Amazon's exclusivity deal. And then China's consumer inflation unexpectedly flat, producers' prices fall. ISAI, I think it's pronounced, it's spelled EISAI, upside targets after Leqembi approval. That sounds like something to do with like healthcare. And then deeper dive into Bridgestone versus Michelin. I don't care to take a deep dive into tires. I'm not a tire guy or an automotive guy. With that, we'll wrap us up on a sort of anticlimactic note, ending on tires, for the pre-market prep session of July 10th, 2023. I guess if I were to make a transition that's only mildly cheesy, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? It's Monday. This is where you set your expectations for the week. We've got, things happening this week. We've got data that's coming out. Maybe that'll be my first thread, the, economic calendar for the week. But we've got our first full week ahead in what seems like forever. Very excited for that, to get to that. Congratulations to you for being here, getting 1% better. But this is just the beginning of an amazing day that you've got set up ahead. Make sure that you're doing everything you can to close the gap between where you are right now and where you're meant to be. Congrats for being here and soaking in all that great information. And I'll see all of you guys back here tomorrow for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.